Can you imagine? A 13-meter-long, 8-ton predator with 60 razor-sharp teeth in its jaws living in our world today. Tyrannosaurus Rex, history's most feared predator. If it existed in our modern times, how would our lives be shaped? "66 million years ago, on that dark day, with the impact of an asteroid, Earth's greatest predator vanished into the depths of history. But today, with the power of our imagination, we're bringing Tyrannosaurus Rex back to life and discovering how it would live in our modern world. If Tyrannosaurus Rex lived in today's world, it would probably prefer wide-open spaces. North America's Great Plains region, Russia's steppes, Australia's interior, and Africa's savannas would be ideal habitats for this giant predator. Modern T-Rexes would probably be better adapted to cold climate conditions, unlike their ancestors. Like polar bears' thick fur, we know that T-Rexes also had protofeathers to survive in cold climates. These massive predators would probably hunt the large herbivores living in today's steppes. Buffalo herds, wild horses, even young elephants could be among the potential prey of this ancient hunter. However, the biggest problem T-Rex would face in the modern world would be insufficient food sources. In modern ecosystems, T-Rex would definitely be at the top of the food chain. No land predator living today, tigers, lions, even polar bears, could compete with this massive beast. With a jaw force of 6 to 7 tons, T-Rex had approximately 10 times the jaw strength of a lion. Scientists calculate that T-Rex would need approximately 40 to 50 kilograms of meat per day. This would create a major challenge in the modern world. Today's large mammal species, rhinos, hippos, even elephants, wouldn't be able to provide sufficient food sources for T-Rex. These massive predators would probably have to keep their habitats very wide, considering hundreds of square kilometers as their territories. But what would happen when T-Rexes encountered humans? The answer to this question is both exciting and terrifying. According to paleontologist calculations, an adult T-Rex's running speed was between 25 to 40 kilometers per hour. This means much faster than an average human's running speed. Moreover, T-Rex's vision was extremely sharp, similar to hawks. It could notice movement from 6 kilometers away, and its sense of smell was superior to today's best hunters. Modern human settlements would create a great contradiction for T-Rexes. On one hand, the noise and human scent in cities would keep these ancient predators away. On the other hand, dumps and waste areas around cities could change T-Rex feeding behaviors. Because let's not forget, there's strong evidence that T-Rex was actually a scavenger, a carrion eater. How would T-Rexes survive in today's technological world? The answer to this question might be surprising. Modern sensor street lighting, security cameras, and motion detectors would greatly affect T-Rex nighttime hunting behaviors. These massive predators would probably learn to adapt to technology, like jackal and dog packs living around cities. Airports would pose a major threat to T-Rexes. High-frequency sounds from aircraft would disturb these ancient creatures' sensitive hearing systems. On the other hand, airports' wide open areas and rare human traffic could become attractive habitats for T-Rexes. The most interesting adaptation would occur around power lines and telecommunication towers. Since T-Rexes are 4 to 5 meters tall, low power lines would create great danger for them. These massive creatures would probably learn to stay away from power lines, even use them to mark their territories. Today's biggest environmental problem, climate change, could actually be an opportunity for T-Rexes. T-Rexes living in the Cretaceous period were adapted to a much warmer climate than today. Earth's average temperature was 10 to 15 degrees higher than today during that period. Expanding desert areas with global warming could create new habitats for T-Rexes, especially the Kalahari Desert expanding towards southern Africa, and increasing temperatures in Australia's interior would increase these ancient predators' chances of survival in the modern world. Additionally, changes in large herbivore species migration routes caused by climate change would provide T-Rexes with new hunting opportunities. African elephants' northern migrations, zebra herds expanding habitats, and increases in antelope populations would strengthen T-Rex's position in the modern world's food chain. How would the modern agriculture and livestock sector adapt if it had to coexist with T-Rexes? This situation would create the greatest agricultural revolution in human history. Large farm animals, cattle, horses, pigs, would be natural hunting targets for T-Rexes. This would force farmers to build massive protective structures. 10-meter-high steel fences, underground shelters, and even armored protective equipment for farm animals would be developed. However, the most interesting development would be the T-Rex farming concept. Like crocodile farms, special facilities raising T-Rexes in controlled environments would be established. T-Rex meat produced in these facilities would sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars per ton in luxury restaurants. Bags, shoes, and clothing made from T-Rex leather would be among the world's most expensive fashion accessories. Modern genetic agriculture would also be reshaped considering T-Rexes. More resistant, fast-growing farm animals resistant to T-Rex attacks would be developed. Even some farm animals could be given special genes that secrete chemical substances that repel T-Rexes. T-Rex presence in the modern world would create a complete revolution in the tourism industry. Dinosaur safaris would become the world's most expensive and risky tourism activity. Tours to observe T-Rexes in their natural habitats with specially designed armored vehicles and professional guides would create an industry worth millions of dollars. Natural wildlife parks like Kenya's Masai Mara would allocate special areas for T-Rexes. These parks would offer 20-meter-high glass observation towers, underground tunnels, and even helicopter tours for visitor safety. The fee paid for a single T-Rex observation would exceed the price of a week-long luxury safari tour. Special T-Rex photography equipment would be developed for photography enthusiasts. Ultra-long lenses, sound-insulated photography shelters, and even AI-supported camera systems that predict T-Rex behaviors would be among the most popular products in this field. For the modern scientific world, living T-Rexes would be literally a treasure. They would provide an unparalleled opportunity for paleobiology, behavioral sciences, genetics, and evolution research. Information gained about T-Rex daily behavior patterns, hunting strategies, social interactions, and reproductive cycles could overturn all theories about dinosaurs. Many features we only estimate from fossil records could be observed in living specimens. Research on T-Rex brain structure and intelligence levels would completely change our ideas about dinosaur intelligence. Observing how the T-Rex brain works with modern imaging technologies would be a dream opportunity for paleobiologists. Genetic research would offer much greater opportunities. Comparing T-Rex DNA with modern birds could fill missing links in evolution theory. T-Rex resistance to modern diseases could even help develop new treatment methods in the medical world. T-Rex presence in the modern world would create a new trillion-dollar industry in the global economy. This sector, which we could call the dinosaur economy, would include many sub-branches. For the security industry, T-Rexes would be literally a gold mine. Anti-T-Rex security systems, armored vehicles, special weapons, and protective equipment would create a billion-dollar market. T-Rex security certification would become mandatory for every home, workplace, and vehicle. The insurance sector would be completely reshaped. T-Rex attack insurance would become a basic necessity, and insurance premiums would show dramatic differences based on geographical location. While real estate prices in areas close to T-Rex habitats would fall, safe zones would experience explosions in real estate prices. For the film and entertainment industry, T-Rexes would provide a unique content source. Movies, documentaries, and TV programs shot with real T-Rexes would generate billions of dollars in revenue. Even live shows with T-Rexes would be among the world's most popular entertainment events. The potential use of T-Rexes in modern warfare technology would be a fascinating topic for military strategists. The natural aggression and physical power of these massive creatures could provide unique advantages on battlefields if control could be achieved. Directing T-Rexes to specific targets through special training programs, breaking enemy lines, and using them as psychological warfare tools could be possible. Like elephants used on battlefields in ancient times, T-Rexes could also become new elements of modern warfare. However, this would also require the signing of T-Rex disarmament treaties. International law would include new clauses regulating the military use of T-Rexes. A Dinosaur Control Commission would even be established within the United Nations. T-Rex presence in the modern world would fundamentally change our approach to environmental protection. Since these massive predators would be at the top of the ecosystem, they would be among the most sensitive species to environmental changes. Deforestation, habitat loss, and environmental pollution would now threaten not only small creatures, but also T-Rexes. This would provide much greater support for environmental protection movements. While people struggled to mobilize for cute pandas, they would act much faster against the threat of extinction of an 8-ton T-Rex. T-Rex protection foundations would collect billions of dollars in donations, and the number of volunteer environmentalists would increase exponentially. Because T-Rex presence would demonstrate in the most dramatic way how fragile and valuable the natural world is. At the same time, T-Rexes would also function as natural environment cleanup teams. While maintaining natural processes such as dead animal cleanup, overpopulation control, and sick animal elimination, they would preserve ecosystem balance. T-Rex anatomical features would create new sources of inspiration for modern technology development. The muscle structure, bone density, and movement kinetics of these massive creatures would lead to revolutionary developments in robotics and engineering. T-Rex jaw mechanism would offer new approaches in developing hydraulic systems. The T-Rex jaw principle would be used in construction machinery, industrial presses, and even surgical robots. Leg structure and walking mechanism would break new ground in bipedal robot design. T-Rex balance systems would guide the development of modern prosthetic technology, developing new treatment methods for patients with walking difficulties. Most importantly, T-Rex vision, hearing, and smell abilities would provide unique data for the development of artificial intelligence and sensor technologies. T-Rex sensory system algorithms would be used in security cameras, radar systems, and even autonomous vehicles. T-Rex presence in the modern world would create profound effects on human psychology and social behaviors. For the first time in human history, we would have to share the same planet with a creature physically much stronger, larger, and more dangerous than ourselves. This would be an experience that would strengthen both humility and survival instincts for humanity. People living in cities would develop a much deeper understanding of nature's power and wildness. Children's upbringing would also change dramatically. T-Rex safety education would become a mandatory part of the school curriculum, and children would learn from an early age how to behave against natural threats. Religions and philosophies would also have to adapt to this new situation. The concept of human superiority would be questioned, and philosophies of living more harmoniously with nature would gain strength. Some societies would even consider T-Rex as sacred, with new religious movements emerging that worship them. T-Rex presence in the modern world would create radical changes in the legal system. New legal concepts such as dinosaur rights, T-Rex attack compensation, and wild dinosaur ownership would develop. International agreements would have to regulate T-Rex trade, and illegal T-Rex trafficking would be among the most serious crimes. Special courts would be established for deaths resulting from T-Rex attacks, and responsibility and compensation issues in these cases would create complex legal problems. Real estate law would also be completely rewritten. New regulations would be needed for land ownership, mineral rights, and construction permits in T-Rex habitats. Some regions would even recognize T-Rex transit rights, putting these massive creatures' migration routes under legal protection. The most interesting development would be the emergence of the T-Rex law professional field. These specialized lawyers would deal with all legal issues related to T-Rexes, even serving as T-Rex legal representatives in courts. T-Rex presence in the modern world would create unexpected changes in the food industry. The nutritional needs of these massive creatures would force new approaches to be developed in meat production. T-Rex feeding farms would be established, producing meat specifically for T-Rexes in these facilities. These farms would be built on scales that would overshadow today's largest industrial facilities. Since a single T-Rex's annual meat consumption would equal an average family's 20-year meat consumption, these facilities would be built on massive scales. On the other hand, T-Rex meat would also become the new star of the luxury food market. T-Rex meat, obtainable in very limited quantities and under controlled conditions, would be the world's most expensive protein source. T-Rex meat, selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars per kilogram, would be a luxury only the wealthiest could afford. In terms of food safety, ancient pathogens that T-Rexes might carry would create major challenges for modern medicine. bacteria and viruses that existed 66 million years ago, but our immune systems don't recognize today, could lead to new epidemic disease risks. T-Rex presence in the modern world would fundamentally change the education system. Paleontology, biology, and natural sciences would no longer be theoretical subjects, becoming practical courses supported by living examples. Universities' dinosaur sciences departments would be among the most popular and prestigious departments. New career fields such as T-Rex behavior analyst, dinosaur veterinarian, and paleobiologist would emerge. Experts in these fields would be among the highest-paid specialists in the world. T-Rex safety classes would become mandatory starting from elementary education, and children would learn from an early age how to maintain safe distances from these massive creatures. School trips would now include T-Rex observation tours, but these trips would be conducted with the highest security measures. Distance education technologies would also adapt to this new situation. Virtual reality T-Rex simulations would allow students to study these creatures in safe environments. Thanks to augmented reality applications, students would be able to interact with hologram T-Rexes in classroom environments. If Tyrannosaurus Rex could live in our modern world, our planet would be a completely different place from what we know today. The presence of these massive predators would profoundly affect not only natural ecosystems, but every area of human civilization. Technology, science, economy, social life, and even our philosophy would be shaped around these ancient giants' adaptation to the modern world. As humanity, we would learn to see ourselves not as masters of nature, but as part of it, developing a much more humble and environmentally respectful approach. T-Rex presence in the modern world would also reveal how precious and fragile life is. Having these magnificent creatures, which we lost 66 million years ago, among us again would exponentially increase our awareness of nature conservation. Perhaps most importantly, T-Rex presence in the modern world would remind us, nature is much stronger, much more mysterious, and much more fascinating than we imagine. These massive creatures, sharing the same planet with us, would create deep feelings of respect and admiration for life's infinite diversity and magnificence. As human beings, learning to live with T-Rexes would also mean learning to be at peace with ourselves and nature. These massive predators would restore to us the sense of natural order and balance that we had lost in the fast-paced life of the modern world. What do you think our world would be like if Tyrannosaurus Rex lived today? Share your thoughts about the changes these magnificent ancient predators would create in our modern lives in the comments. Did you like the video? Don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more fascinating content about extinct creatures.